Hello everybody. Well, welcome to this week's video. We're back again. And we just want to thank every one of you who's tuned in to listen to us over the last weeks and months. You know, we've had a blast putting this all together. It's been a lot of fun, hasn't it?
Sure has.
It just doesn't really match up to seeing you all in person and teaching. But, you know, one of these days we'll get there, won't we?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump in straight away to this week's lesson because it's called Whose Team Are You On? When I say team, what do you immediately think of, Mr. Peter?
Sports.
Sports, that's right. All right, let's talk a little bit of sports right now. Most people like playing sports or watching sports or a combination of the two. And some of you have probably been on a team or are still on a team that's of some sort. Mr. Peter, when you were growing up, what did you play?
I played Little League baseball and I played a little bit of football in high school.
You did, all right. And which was your favorite, baseball or football?
No, baseball.
Baseball, all right. In school, I played netball, which is a version of basketball. And I also played field hockey, and I played that in college too. So that was my field hockey was my favorite. So, and let's see, most of us who are interested in sports have a favorite team that we like to follow and support, right? We can get quite fanatical about it. That's why we call fans. So we're going to ask Mr. Peter, who is yours, your favorite team?
That would be the San Diego Padres.
He's
Yeehaw!
got his own rally towel too. Wow. Okay. Really nice. Okay, well, my favorite team was an English soccer team. And here's my shirt. Not the Nike symbol, but that symbol right there. That is from a team called Tottenham Hotspur. They play in London. Now, Pastor Banning would tell you that Liverpool is the best soccer team in England, but he's wrong. It's Spurs all the way. Okay, let's do a quick game here, a quick sports game, and see how well you know your teams. I've picked teams from the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, and the MLB, right? Just a few from each, and I'll give you the city and see if you can guess the team name. All right, so here we go. First, the NFL.
What's that, Miss Kathy? What does that mean?
National Football League.
Very good for
Okay.
British girl.
Ready? Here we go. New England.
They got away. Patriots.
Green Bay.
The Cheesehead Packers.
New Orleans.
The Saints.
And Miami.
The Dolphins.
The
That was
Dolphins.
Flipper, by the way,
That
Miss
was
Kathy.
Flipper. Okay, all right. All right, let's move on to the NHL, hockey. This might be a little more tricky. Okay, Philadelphia.
That would be the Flyers, Miss Kathy.
Okay, Pittsburgh.
Which one is it, Miss Kathy?
That's the Penguins.
Very good.
Nashville. Predators. And Los Angeles. Let's go California. Los Angeles Kings.
Very good.
No, I don't think you know your hockey teams too
No,
well.
Miss Kathy.
All right, NBA, National Basketball Association. Los Angeles again.
Lakers.
Uh-huh. Utah,
I don't know.
the Jazz. New York, the Knicks.
Oh,
And the Phoenix Suns. All right, last one. MLB, Major League Baseball. Chicago
Cubs.
or White Sox, depending which league. Milwaukee,
Brewers.
okay. St. Louis.
Cardinals.
And the last one, San Diego.
The Padres.
Again, I had to throw that one in. That's right.
Hold it, Miss Kathy. Hold it. Where's it at?
You lost your rally towel. All right.
Forget it, Miss Kathy. We gotta do it. The rally towel.
The rally towel. There we go. All right. There we go. Fix the hair again. All right. What is it about sports and being on a team that is so popular? You know, why does it spark our enthusiasm and our loyalty? Sports are a huge industry in the world. Sometimes it's mind-boggling how much money somebody can get paid. But even those of us that don't get paid, we get kind of caught up in sports and get fired up about games, and especially if it's a real rival team. And why does it bring out such deep emotion and a drive to succeed? Because it does, for the most part. Or even to support and follow a team. You just get really caught up in it. And I mean, unfortunately, we can't do any games right now, but we've all seen how crazy everybody gets and all the stuff that they buy to support their team. So try to think of a time when you might have been on a team and how hard you worked together and how amazing it felt when you were victorious. Or how you pulled together and encouraged one another when you might have lost. You know, let's say, come on, we'll win next time. And then you were telling each other, just be a good sport about it. See, most of the time, sports brings out the very best in people. It's that working together towards a common goal. Even though in most sports, each person has a different position or job to do within the team, right? Not everybody can be the quarterback or a striker or a pitcher or a goalie. But when each position is learned and executed well, there's a beautiful harmony to the team. But you know, there are many other sports and activities that don't quite get the same attention and recognition and following as, you know, the NFL and the NHL, NBA, etc. And we might not even think of them as a team. So I'm going to give some examples here. My first one is my nephew in England, Daniel. He is a coach for the Great Britain rowing team. And if it hadn't been postponed this year, he would have gone to the Olympics to coach his particular team. See, now he's going next year. So have you ever watched a rowing team? They are trained to work together so precisely to get their boat from start to finish as fast as possible. You can't have one pulling his oar here and another there, or one rowing faster strokes than somebody else. They have to be exactly together all the time in order for the boat to stay on course and not wobble everywhere. It's really amazing to watch when you see how they do it and how in sync they all are all the time. All right, here's another one. Ballet. Is ballet even a sport?
Could be, Miss Kathy.
I
sure
don't
there's
know.
competition.
Yeah, well, we'll have to ask Miss Dara or Cassia or Aria when we see them if they figure that's a sport. I mean, it's an athletic activity, that's for sure. So I began thinking about how dancers have to work together and learn the steps in order for the dance to come together and look wonderful. And each ballerina has to know exactly where they're going and what they're doing. Otherwise, you just have a big mess of tangled tutus on the stage, right? That wouldn't be good. That was a good one. All right, one more example for you, and it has nothing to do with sports. Any idea, Mr. Peter?
No, Miss Kathy, tell me.
All right, it's something we hear at church usually at Christmas and Easter. The bell choir.
Oh, yeah.
The bell choir. I love our bell choir. I love listening to them. And they sound fabulous, and I know it takes a lot of work and practice and effort to pull that all together. And they make it look so good. I'm sure it's not at all easy. But can you imagine if suddenly in the middle of a performance, Mrs. Johnson decided to ring her bell wildly and play the tune that she wanted to play? Or Caden began ringing his bell really, really loudly because he wanted all the attention? I mean, we'd all have our hands over our ears, you know, make such a horrible sound. But, well, fortunately for us, they want to be part of that team and make beautiful music by working together. You know, this week, I hope you listen to Pastor Jerome because he's preaching on humility. You might think, where in the world does sports fit into humility? Or humility fit into the world of sports? You know, how can you be humble if you're constantly being told that you're great or your team's the best? I mean, it's hard to keep humble if that's all you're being told. But to truly be an effective member of a team of any kind, you have to recognize that you can't do it alone, and you have to be willing to listen to and follow and learn from your coach. I mean, even the captain of a team should recognize the responsibility that he or her has been given and use it to benefit the team, not himself or herself. A leader's job is to make sure that everybody under them can do their job and do it well. They're a helper, not a sergeant major. So sports, if you look at it that way, is actually a perfect activity in which to practice humility. Even when you're on the losing team, you have to be humble and accept that you have lost. Maybe this time around you just weren't the best, and do it gracefully. You know, it would be hard even for a person who's been called a goat. Do you know what that means? Is it a real goat?
What is it, Miss Kathy?
G-O-A-T, greatest of all time. That's what they call them. So, and Jesus talked a lot about humility during his ministry. And wait a minute, Jesus had a team. Who was his team?
That'd be the disciples, Miss Kathy.
And how many were on his team?
12.
12 to begin with, then they dropped down to 11 at the end, right? But anyway, he spent 3 years working with them and teaching them. He was their coach, and he gave them all the tools they needed to carry on the job after he was gone, after his death and resurrection. But sometimes, though, they didn't get the humility thing. 3 of the Gospels tell us of a time when the disciples were arguing about which one of them was the greatest. The disciple goat, right? They thought that Jesus hadn't heard them. And I wonder what Jesus' reaction was when he heard this, when he did hear this discussion. He knew what was going on. I mean, was he laughing? Was he shaking his head? Was he saying, oy vey, because they hadn't learned what they were supposed to learn? I mean, after all, they were in the presence of the real greatest of all time. Well, Jesus took a small child and placed it in front of them and reminded them that to be the greatest, you have to be the least. He who wants to be great has to be the least. Being the greatest requires being a servant. The kingdom of God has the exact opposite view of the world with regard to being great. But once the disciples learned this, and they did go on to be great leaders of the early church. But they were always knew that they were only in that position because of Jesus, because he was their ultimate and only leader. All right, what does that mean for us as a church? And we've talked a lot about sports, but you know, as Jesus' church, even in SonRise, how does this all tie in? Well, we have to learn to work together as a team. We have our pastors, our elders, our deacons, our ministry leaders, all important and vital positions. But the Bible makes it clear, in the Apostle Paul said this in the book of Corinthians, that every person in the church is essential to its well-being and success. There are lots of different activities and positions within a church, and each person, no matter if the job is big or small, is important. And Jesus is our ultimate and only leader in SonRise. Well, let's go a little bigger than just SonRise. What about the other churches in Fallbrook that follow Jesus? I mean, we've got Christ the King, we've got the Baptist Church, we've got Calvary Chapel, just to name a few. Well, we can all work together as a bigger team to bring people in Fallbrook to Jesus. Just because we don't worship in the same building doesn't mean we can't be on the same team, with Jesus as our ultimate and only leader. Let's go even bigger than that. What about America or the whole world? Just think of all the Christians out there who believe what we believe. That's a big team. And who's our leader?
Team Jesus.
Jesus, that's right. But unfortunately, as we learned last week, there's not just the one team in the world. Who's the other team?
Oh, the bad team.
That's right.
That would be Team Satan.
Yes.
He is the loudest coach.
Yes, he has his own team, and that team is not up to any good. So beyond what we see here in this world, there is a spiritual battle going on. And at the very end of times, just as we learned the last time we taught, there will be a heavenly Super Bowl with the two teams battling it out. But what Satan's team fails to acknowledge is that this is not a game where nobody knows the outcome, where either team could be the victor. Who do we know is already the winner?
Team Jesus.
That's right. Jesus, when Jesus died on the cross and said, "It is finished," he claimed victory over death and the devil. Well, who wants to be on a losing team?
Not me, Mr.
No, not me either. And we have to realize there are no neutral zones when it comes to Jesus. He clearly stated, do you remember what he said?
You're either with me or against me.
Yes, either with me or for me, or you're against me. In other words, you're either on my team or you're not. You can't play for both teams at the same time. He even promises us a reward in heaven if we stay true to him. Maybe we'll get one of these. What do you think? A trophy? Or your football trophy? What do you think? This is a hockey trophy. There we go. No, actually, we're not getting a trophy. What did Jesus say we're going to get?
A crown with jewels on it.
That's right. Even better than a trophy. Yes. So whose team are you going to be on? Maybe this week, if you're talking sports and somebody says, well, what sport do you play or what team do you follow? Maybe you can simply say you're on Team Jesus. Mr. Peter's got his shirt going already. That's really a nice shirt. Okay. All right. Well, enough about teams, enough about rally cloths, towels. We've finished another lesson. So we hope you've enjoyed it. We hope to see you very, very soon. Have a wonderful Labor Day weekend and stay cool, stay safe. We love you. God bless you. And we'll see you next time.
And please pray for no blackouts.
Yes, no blackouts. We will. All right. Bye, kids. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
We love you. Bye.